A bar bat mitzvah is a rite of passage in the Jewish faith, but lately it seems to be less about religion and all about the party. Elaborate themes, professional dancers, and thousands of dollars are going into the average bar and bat mitzvah party. So how do we get religion back into religious ceremonies? So Rabbi, for people who have never been to a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah or are not Jewish, can you explain what it is and maybe the textbook definition and then sort of what it's become?
Sure, absolutely. So what it is traditionally is, first of all, you don't even have to have a ceremony. You don't have to have a party. At age 13 for boys traditionally and girls for 12 years old, you became bar or bat mitzvah, which means you're a full contributing member of the community. You can be counted in the prayer quorum, in the minyan. That's the traditional version, and it's grown and grown in somewhat of a snowball effect. Very recently. None of this is very old. It's traditional in terms of way back, thousands of years, to become bar mitzvah, but the party and the increase of the ceremony is very recent in terms of decades. And the idea, that's become it's become much more of a graduation ceremony instead of becoming part of and contributing to the community. We want it to be fun. We're asking some big questions. We're asking, how do we make sure it's relevant? How do we make sure it's relevant to teens and their parents, which it isn't always these days? How do we make sure it has deep meaning? How do we make sure community is a relevant component to this? How do we make sure that it's not just about you, but it's also about contributing to your community in a way that's meaningful to you? And how do we make sure there's deep learning? We think fun can be woven into that in many different ways. We just want to make sure that relevance and meaning, we think becoming part of a community still matters. Contributing to a community, being counted still matters. Those are important traditional elements, but it doesn't. If it's only about a skill that you'll use only once in your life, then it's going to be less meaningful and relevant, and it'll feel like graduation instead of an on-ramp to more involvement in your community and becoming part of a community that you'll own. So those are our sort of core principles.
After years and years of 3 days a week of 3 hours of Hebrew school after regular school, I think as a kid, you feel like you sort of earn that party because it's still school, even though you're learning.
Right. First of all, we want you to earn something. I think that piece is real. And bar mitzvah, the actual ceremony for our families, is deeply meaningful. The problem is it's the end point and not the point of beginning or point of deeper involvement. So that's the first piece I want to say. I think earning it is crucial. Your question about the parents, and I don't think it's women and their daughters. I actually think parents need to be addressed here. Parents have needs. They want to be proud of their children. They also want to carry on something, even if they didn't do it, they have a deep emotional connection. And I don't think we can underplay what the needs of parents are here. So I don't think it's parents, girls and their daughters, although in your case, there may have been a nice mother-daughter connection there. I think parents and their needs need to be investigated. And one of the things in the B'nai Mitzvah Revolution that the Times featured, we're learning that the actual interventions, the experiments, need to involve parents, not only with their children, but what are the learning needs and involvement needs of parents? Because if we don't address those, then we're not going to be really addressing the core of the problem.